we've dealt with everything so far. We've dealt with naked grandma. You guys didn't get to see that off screen, but we're back. It's between your ears, number 12. It's our Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers episode. But we're back after a somewhat lengthy hiatus, I guess. How you been, bud?
Good, good. I mean, you got a new back.
Yeah,
Your Jets fan base restored.
yeah.
Brave new world.
I don't know about Brave, but we'll see. Hey, there's our guy, Gen Chat Commissioner
Always first
Extraordinaire
Ewok.
Ewok. I think he's on a streak.
He might be.
Um, yeah. So got a lot to get through. I know we've both been kind of like grinding away and just surveying the fantasy landscape.
Mhm.
Um, we're here at the end of June, and this is about where it starts to heat up. Startup fever, if it hasn't caught you yet, probably right after 4th of July is probably when it's going to start to heat up.
Got any of them 14 teamers?
Yeah. It's kind of becoming the rage now. Everyone's trying to do
Yeah.
like 14 teams, start 13.
Yeah.
And it's just like, just get 2 quarterbacks and pray for the rest. Um, but yeah, man, it's interesting. We got a lot to talk about. This is back-to-back days for me. In case anyone overlapped, I was on yesterday, Fantasy Shot Callers with Ben. This one's between your ears, and we're gonna just kind of delve a little bit more into strategy here, and just get into it. Anything off the top of your head that you're seeing in startups that just kind of like blows your mind?
Uh, Starting to see a lot more normalization. At least in my experience. Um, it's pretty consistently very QB heavy. It's going to stay that way at the top. But it's you this year you can almost like have your cake and eat it too when it comes to the running backs because really what's going on is a lot of like everybody's just down bad on running backs. Like, doesn't even matter who you are. Like, if your name's not Bijan, nobody's really knocking on the door trying to pay anything significant. And a lot of wide receivers are filling that void, as well as some of the young QBs as well. So we're in a space that we haven't been in quite a few years, where we can just kind of make these decisions and do them flexibly and not be asked out when it comes to running back, because a lot of them are just sitting in the third round and beyond.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't know. It's remember when we first started where it was like running back heavy in the first round,
Yeah.
and we both kind of like looked at it. We're like, oh shit, we could just start smashing wide receivers or start smashing quarterbacks here, where a quarterback horde was a little bit more fruitful. I just kind of wonder. I mentioned it yesterday, and I'll mention it again. We were doing the startup mock draft, and Booger went. I think the first 6 picks were all wide receivers, but the first 3 were wide receiver ones.
Yeah.
And just kind of like looking at what happened last year was quarterback Armageddon. Um, I don't know. Do you just go super heavy in a PPR format, wide receiver ones, and then try to hit Russ, Rogers, Stafford, Cousin, pray that you could get Cousins in like the 5th or something?
I,
Um,
I think there's just more ways to do that now. Like, because we have like a nice fat tier of quarterback to like work back from. Like
yeah,
before, it was just like you have what, 4 or 5 elites, maybe he's not even in that category. Now, like that tier two is just like solid quarterbacks, and then it's like those 3 wide receivers that are uh, sneaking in there. So when running back is so depressed so far down to where you can actually just find a whole lot of depth elsewhere. And even you can do that with quarterback too. Like, I don't feel this year you're really punished at all if you do go wide receiver heavy, especially in the beginning, because there's so many mid tier quarterbacks that are all the way through the draft from like 4 to 8.
yeah, no, 100%. And it's just like, how do you reduce the risk there? Because um, I don't, I just really get it's really tough when you're in round one, and like if you get the 108, 109, 110 pick, it's almost like you're subjugating yourself to a back half quarterback one instead of setting a trend and getting like the top of the position. So I don't know. It's just it's an interesting time. I think the quarterback horde is almost gone with how we've seen, because if the first 8 go, it's not like you can double tap there.
Yeah.
And then it kind of creates the scenario where you're forced to trade up and sacrifice good depth throughout the team. So I don't know. It's interesting times. Just trying to find the edge there. I really think the edge is going wide receiver heavy right now. But of course, every startup's different. If I don't think it'll ever happen. But if Trevor Lawrence falls to like the 112, you snap him up. You don't wait. So
Right.
Just kind of piggybacking off of that, do we think that everyone's doing no running back strategy? That's kind of like that's the rage right now. Do you think that do you think that's the case? Do you think the masses are right here? Are running backs dead?
So I don't think that they're dead. They're still, like, when it comes to production, I mean, they're still just as important as having elite quarterbacks at the end of the day. It's easier to manufacture that in other ways. People are getting better about and more crafty ways to do that. But I do think that like the running back market as a whole is just a little undervalued, just because
Sure.
we got a whole lot of dudes still out there. And like I said, if your name's not Bijan, nobody's knocking.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about, back-to-back, really high finishes from Eckler. I'm not talking about like from a dynasty standpoint, but like, there's a point where like you're going to find a whole lot of value. And while you always have the opportunity to sit back and wait,
Mhm.
I'm very much enjoying the possibilities of, a lot of these running backs that are slipping, in a way. So as going forward, they might be dead, but only dead as we know them. I don't think that, at least in this case, because like you said, that top 8 quarterbacks, like if that doesn't thin out, you're not going to try to fight that edge at quarterback when it's like a full round and a half later. So if we do start having some rehabilitation to the position, I don't think they're going to be where they were. I don't think we're
Sure.
going to be doing any more first round JT, first round CMC.
No.
You might get a couple of guys that sneak back up, but I think they're always going to be pushed down by the quarterbacks, that tier of 8 or 10 guys.
Yeah, I mean, I think some of the guys that are going in round 5 and 6 probably get pushed up a little bit as we get closer to season start. I do think that there's an inefficiency, man. I do think that there are running backs to be bought right now. Obviously Bijan. I mean, I went into detail yesterday why, I even think selling, Bijan for Kyler is ridiculous. Like, that just doesn't make any sense right now, especially with Kyler just going to continue to drop and fall.
Kyler is radioactive.
Like I said, I try. If you told me that Arizona isn't going to get Caleb Williams, then yeah, I can buy it. You know what I mean? He's always going to run. I think he'll bounce back from the ACL. My bigger overarching issue is they are probably going to get Caleb Williams or Drake May. And then coupling that with, he's not like, you could take Patrick Mahomes and put him in probably 30 out of 30 NFL offenses. I don't know how many offenses you could put Kyler Murray in, and that's the bigger issue. I think he's, like I said, I think it's probably a hot take, but he's closer to being out of the league than being in the league. And the guy, I can't help but continue to think about like Robert Griffin, how he was just never the same afterwards.
Spooky.
Yeah, it's
Spooky
not
shit.
because if Kyler doesn't run anymore, I don't think he's a starting quarterback. You know what I mean? Like, if he's just a pocket passer, if he's like, I don't want to run anymore, he's done. He's a wrap. You could call that a wrap. But anyways, Yeah, I do think that there's some inefficiencies there. I think even like Brees owners are starting to get a little antsy here, especially with like the Dalvin Cook news. I don't think Dalvin Cook's going to be a Jet, but
I don't think so
um,
either.
it's just not a great time, I think, to buy Brees right now. It's just I want to know he's going to play week 1 before I start ponying up. And I can take it from experience from our trade. I you know bought him way too early, paid way too much. Um, but I just don't know. I think the biggest riser is probably going to be Pollard. I think Pollard's going to jump. I see. It's just going to be Cowboys noise. He's going to jump, and he has access to that. He's young. He catches the ball, and it's Malik Davis right now. I don't think I think that's really being severely underrated. Um, yeah, no. It's great times to be a running back right now. Ewok has a Kyler take. There we go. Kyler to the Yankees.
Oh, boy.
Hey, man, the guy was a top 10 pick. Guy was a monster in baseball. I wouldn't mind it. I'd happily take him. We'll trade Josh Donaldson to the A's for him. So we kind of touched on it, but on the docket, we have what are we doing in startups when there's a QB run to start? And by a QB run at the start, we're talking about the first 8 picks are consecutively quarterbacks. Let's say we're starting with the 109. Where are you going from there?
Assuming I don't get one of the wide receivers, Jamar or Jefferson.
Should we play it like the 111 then? The 2 wide receivers are the next 2 picks, and then we're up.
Sure, yeah, we can play it like that.
Yeah, I think Jefferson's fairly obvious there.
Yeah. So for me, I mean, Lamb feels kind of chalk. AJB kind of feels chalk. I think you could go either direction there. I think there's a lot of sustainability to both of them.
Yeah,
there. But right after that 8 to 10 is where I get wary of the quarterbacks, and I agree with what you're saying about like just trying to double tap here, because I've made my reservations on Dak going forward pretty well known. I have even worse ones for Fields. I even have some for Tua, honestly. That's that tier break. So if you want to double up, that's fine. But I mean, you're passing on some fat studs. I mean, you got.
Yeah.
I don't even think it's too early to take. If you really just need Garrett Wilson or Olave, I don't think that's even that far of a stretch at this point, unless you're going to go down the path with Bijan.
I just feel like Jets players have gotten this huge ADP jump, and it's not that I don't like the players or I don't see where it's coming from. I don't know if there's any growth there. They almost have to be have astounding seasons to match their ADP. So I don't know, Garrett Wilson, that feels a little too high. I think we're anointing him a little too quickly. Ewok said Watson and running back at the 111 202. So I think the problem there is if you don't take Bijan at the 111, he's almost assuredly going to go in the sandwich picks. And the problem is if you don't take Watson, he typically doesn't make it past the sandwich either. I think he has a higher potential to make it past the sandwich. And the crazy thing about Watson is, even including last year, I think he only has 4 games under double-digit points for his career. Look, we're not here to do the morality thing. I'm exhausted about talking about the morality thing.
We all are,
especially after Domingo Herman throws a perfect game yesterday. So I'm not here to play morality police, and I'm not mad at people who just say I want nothing to do with Watson. It's like, all right, that's fine. You know what? If you want to play that in fantasy, go for it. I'm here to win money and not play morality police here. So Watson is, he may not be the 30 to 40 point threat that he was in Houston, but his stats look really, really strong. And I do expect a big bounce back from him. This was a guy who was in contention for QB1 while he had Bill O'Brien in Houston. And when you look at his stats, man, only 4 times, only 4 weeks, he has been under double-digit points. It's wild. Yeah,
and I mean, you make a good point, but it's kind of the same thing that like what you just said about Garrett Wilson. I mean, like this year is for all the marbles for Deshaun Watson. Anybody that was hoping to, rug their way through a Watson, pull the wool over somebody's eyes and get him for cheap, and then like it's 2 lost seasons. And this is what it's for. And because it's not even just like this year for fantasy, it's for the Browns. Like this deal that they signed him to is insanely prohibitive. They're going to have to restructure him like almost every year. And the team is going to start atrophying. They have some, they did some nice stuff on the defensive side of the ball, but like as a team, they really need to figure out like what they're going to do because they don't have a whole lot of alternatives. Like grabbing Elijah Moore is great, but it doesn't exactly exude the same type of confidence. Like if you were to go run out and get D-Hop, there's reasons you can't do that. And it's just this one, slippery slope. But I mean, this corner of the draft right here, the reason it's so dicey is kind of what I was saying about the running backs is that in the past, they've been up here in some way. And now we're basically playing this curve, this turn without a position. So you're going to have to make decisions that make sense to you because it's not, you're playing with, fewer cards in the deck right now. And until that rectifies itself, we're going to kind of need to just trust our evaluations.
Yeah. I think I'd go Bijan at the 111. Just to lock it up and not to. So the biggest thing that I try to harp on with people when I'm trying to give them advice in a startup is don't pigeonhole yourself. Yeah. Don't take picks that eliminate avenues. You want to have access to, especially when you're doing it this early. There's psychopaths like us doing startups in February, right after the Super Bowl. That's where you want to put a premium on future draft capital, guys that are young with cemented positions. But the biggest problem that I see a lot of times is that guys make the mistake of, and this may sound counterintuitive, but trusting their evaluations a little too much, where it's like, no, I know this guy's going to pop. And it's like, yeah, but you should probably take the safer guy here because you could have years. I mean, let's think about what a first round startup looked like last year. Still Mahomes at the 101 for the most part, but it wasn't a guarantee. Some people were going Josh Allen because Mahomes disappointed the year before.
We lost Tyreek.
Yeah, exactly. Mahomes, I mean, we had people taking Herbert over Mahomes. Remember that? People were taking Herbert over Mahomes. It was like Josh Allen, and that was probably like 20% of the time Mahomes fell to the 103, but it's that sounds blasphemous now. You don't find him at the 103. But let's say it's Allen, Herbert, and Mahomes at the top. If you took Herbert, you were probably disappointed with your season. I don't know if it was an automatic loss, but you're probably not enthused. And even if you took Josh Allen at the 101, you're probably a little don't feel that great. So after those three that was about Jonathan Taylor time. That was usually where Taylor went. Sometimes Burrow.
Lamar and Kyler were like 7 to 9.
Yeah. Lamar and Kyler kind of followed after, and then you got some Justin Jefferson. But let's say that's the first 8 picks. 4 of those are disappointments. That's 4 of them right off the bat. You're probably not a league winner because if you took Mahomes, congrats. If you took Jefferson, you're still in contention. Burrow's a win there. But so that makes the other 5 guys. If you took Kyler, you lost. If you took Lamar, you lost. So I think we're getting a little too happy with the quarterbacks. Again, last year may end up being an anomaly, but it's still possible that you could go quarterback heavy and still hit bust. I mean, imagine if you traded up and you took Lamar and Kyler. You were done by week 10?
Bad example because I did that and smashed a league.
Oh no.
It was rough, but I know I definitely did that.
I hope you got Bijan.
No.
But it's just like that's and Blooms, I don't know if Blooms is here, but Blooms brought up a really good point. What guys in the top 15 are we most worried about? And I'm not going to sit up here and say, I know this guy is going to bust. Look, if you're picking someone in the top 15, typically they're going to be really fucking good. But there is risk potential. And the biggest guy that stands out to me is Justin Fields. And I know he's a darling and like he's awesome and like, he popped and his rushing potential. Look, I love watching him play. It's awesome. And I don't think, I don't need to qualify my bona fides to you with Justin Fields because
No.
I was the guy saying he's the 101. You should take him over Trevor Lawrence. I don't feel that way anymore. I would take Trevor Lawrence over him straight up. But still, Fields, you're always not going to feel great about it. One, from we don't know if he could throw standpoint. And like, I want to tell you that I think he can throw when you look at him at Ohio State. But also Stetson Bennett beat him out of Georgia. So do I know he can throw? I hope so. Could I tell you 100%? No. So I think that adds like 5% to the risk quotient, to the he can bust. Also, his running style, he is reckless as fuck. I know he's built like a brick house, like he's bricked up, but the way that he runs and the way that Jalen Hurts run look completely different. Like Jalen Hurts will slide. Jalen Hurts knows how to avoid a hit.
Yeah.
Justin Fields, he don't care. He's just
he had over 700 yards after contact as a running back. No quarterback has basically ever done that. I mean, no, I didn't go all the way back.
Sure.
I mean, between that and it would be fine. Like when you talk about design rushes, that's one thing, but 63% all of his rushing yards came off of scrambles themselves. So it's one thing to add value by scrambling if nothing is there. If you are scrambling that much, there's reasons for that. And you have to correct a whole lot of that. And so even, there's questions about him passing, but even personally, like I have questions about the rushing. Like his best, how many weeks is that? 6-week pace. He was averaging 100 yards and a touchdown per week on the ground. That eclipses Lamar Jackson's MVP campaign, the best clip he ever had. Like it's going to come down. You can't do that anymore.
He's the closest thing we've seen to Michael Vick. I don't think there's been anyone remotely close. I agree with Ewok's point here. You're paying for production that we haven't seen yet and hasn't been consistent at his price. I think that's fair. And then we have Blooms, who might have overtaken my president of the Justin Fields fan club halfway through last year. But what up, Blooms? Fields had something to prove at that point in the season. Pretty much, fuck it, I'll do it myself. That's fair enough. I mean, that is fair. He didn't have much. But I do want to play devil's advocate really quick with Fields. One, I still don't think he's a fit for what Luke Getsy wants to do. He wants to do the LaFleur, Shanahan, West Coast offense, which requires a lot of tight window throws, one-look reads. I'm not sold that Fields has the accuracy for that kind of offense. I don't think he's the best functioning piece there, but you adjust to the talent that you have. Second, are we sure that we believe in this front office? I'm not convinced, because this front office sent their second round pick, which ended up being essentially a first round pick, for Chase Claypool. Now, if you make that kind of decision, and we all see Chase Claypool is absolutely coming apart at the seams here, I don't think you could sell him for a third round, a rookie 3 right now. Are we sure that we believe in this front office's ability to evaluate? Because here's the thing: if you set the second round pick for Claypool, and now you're telling me you think Fields is the quarterback, I don't know if I feel confident with that. I don't know if I feel good. It may make me think less of Justin Fields here. That the team that like Chase Claypool is like, yeah, we want Justin Fields at quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, you can kind of look at it both ways, because then you can also laud the DJ Moore trade. Like, oh, awesome. Get that guy in there. That dude's a stud. But then you look at like also the picks that they used on that, and it was just like, okay, like they picked some defensive tackles that weren't even really projected to go in the second round. That second rounder turned out to be Joey Porter Jr., by the way, that the Steelers got.
Yeah, the Steelers.
So that's a gimme. And that's what I'm saying. Yes, they recouped the value. Yes, but like then they blew it. Like not blew it, but yeah. So
they did get it back. I mean,
you make a fair point.
Essentially, they traded Chase Claypool and a second for DJ Moore. If we really want to like kind of
could have been way better though. Come on.
Sure, 100%. I do think DJ Moore is going to be awesome there. I mean, I don't know. Anyways, this isn't to say don't draft Justin Fields. This isn't to say like, oh, he's a bad player. I'm just saying, if we're really looking at the first round, we're consistently seeing some landmines there. I think you got to be. I think you have to say. I would put his bust potential at like 12 to 15%. We're nitpicking here. It's the first round. We have to try to see what can we potentially dodge and what are we comfortable with? Because the flip side of it is he has legitimate quarterback 1 potential. Fields can be the quarterback 1. If we jumped in a time machine, we got to the end of the season and we were like, oh shit, Justin Fields was QB1. He ran for 1,200 yards and threw for, I don't know, 3,200 yards. I don't think that would surprise either of us.
No, not at all.
So yeah, I could see it there. I still have concerns about Herbert. And again, nitpicking, especially where we're at, where the part of the draft that we're talking about. But I don't know if I'm taking Herbert over Trevor Lawrence. I don't know if I'm taking Herbert over Lamar Jackson and that revamped offense. I don't know if I'm taking Justin Herbert over Justin Jefferson, to be completely honest with you. I can start to see where I think I would rather take call back to yesterday. I would rather take what's in the box rather than having Justin Herbert.
This is delicious because you're finally on board with Herbert. But no, I mean, I don't think it's unwarranted. I mean, you bring in Kellen Moore, like his job is going to be to unlock Justin Herbert. Like that's what it's for. And like he just the thing is, like, I don't really know how it's going to go because this move was not made for him to throw another 100 receptions to Austin Eckler. Like that's just not what this is going to be. And if, I don't think Kellen Moore is a stellar OC. I think he's a fine mind. He got really good stuff out of Dak. But at a certain point, this is kind of like, it's put up or shut up for him too this year.
I would call him fantasy friendly. I would call him fantasy. He's a fantasy friendly offensive coordinator.
Yeah, that's fine. I'd agree with that. But I mean, like, he's just, I'm sure you've heard the stats. I mean, like, he has like granted, there's reasons why he wasn't throwing down field, but like
Slater got hurt.
He got hurt. Allen got hurt.
Slater got hurt.
Mike Williams got hurt, but you can't run an offense like that and expect to come back. And that's that when you can't threaten like that, you let teams like the Jaguars that are decent but wholly inferior compared to what the Chargers are supposed to be.
From
There's
a talent
something systemic there. I usually don't try to like push narratives that way, but I mean, Staley's got to be out if they don't get Justin Herbert on the track that he's supposed to be on.
Well, I think that's a big issue, man. I'm so out on Brandon Staley. his first year, I tried to like defend him a little bit, but now I'm just like, I don't understand how they didn't hire Sean Payton. That just blows my mind that they didn't.
Yeah.
And I'm someone who is saying I think the Bills should have hired Sean Payton. I don't think people really understand how Sean Payton is one of the few head coaches that I think he truly, truly, truly has a massive effect on wins and losses. And I think he's one of those guys. I think he's on the Shanahan level where you could give him anyone and he's going to find a way to win. I mean, hell, he did it with Teddy Bridgewater. He went 5-0 with Teddy Bridgewater in the South. That's crazy. Right. But I really would have liked to see Peyton there. I think Staley's a liability, and I think he's a problem. And the bigger issue that I have with Kellen Moore is I don't think he's going to have the same kind of offensive line play with the Chargers that he was afforded in Dallas. Like, you could be as creative as you want, but if you can't accept the limitations when you have a rickety O-line, especially with Slater coming back from a fairly serious injury, I don't know, man. This feels like it has a recipe for disaster, not to mention that your top two receiving threats are two of the more injury-prone guys in the league. You took a very high-risk player in Quentin Johnston, who I was talking with JL Khan. Shout out JL Khan. He kind of convinced me that Johnston is a pretty good fit for what the Chargers needed. But I still can't get over he played for TCU, and I don't trust TCU players in fantasy. So I just think that there's more. I think there's underlying systemic issues with the Chargers that I don't see how you can confidently go, because Herbert's typically the 105. I don't see how on my board, I think Herbert's closer to the 112 than he is the 105. And it's not it's not Herbert himself. If you took Herbert and you put him on the Eagles, or you took Herbert and you put him on the Chiefs, it's not. Everyone gets confused, I think, sometimes, where it's like, it's not the player, it's the situation. And that's what it feels like to me with Herbert. I'm not crazy about the situation.
I mean, even in the rest of the guys in that tier, like aside from, your top five, your top three quarterback, top two wide receiver, you got like Burrow, T-Law, Lamar, and Watson. I mean, yeah. I mean, I know Herbert is the hype bunny and had the most quiet 5,000 passing yard season I can remember. But you're looking at a whole lot of really good situations around there. I mean, even Lamar, and I think that's a big one. I think that people are, kind of sleeping on. Not. I wouldn't call it like upward trajectory. I don't think this is going to be like a number one overall year for Lamar, but I think this is the change that needs to happen with him. Getting Greg Roman. Yeah. This is what you want from your dual threat quarterback to prolong his career and to, be that new fastball, because
I'm very excited. I think Monken's going to run an offense more similar to what we saw from Lamar at Louisville. And that's what I've been waiting for. Todd Monken was running design runs for fucking Stetson Bennett, who, look, I get it. Probably a good athlete. I mean, he is a good athlete. I think he ran like a 4.5 or 4.6. That's cute and all, but Lamar is one of the elite talents, toolbox wise, at the quarterback position that we have ever seen. Stetson Bennett's great, but that motherfucker didn't graduate college, and he was there 8 years and didn't win a Heisman. Lamar won a Heisman and got the fuck out of there. So imagine what Monken can do. And we've seen him run sophisticated pass offenses with Jameis Winston down in Tampa. He did okay in Cleveland. Georgia just won back-to-back championships. And those are some tough defenses in the SEC. So I'm very excited for Monken. Could not be more hyped about Lamar right now. I think Lamar is like Ewok said, I don't see how he goes after Herbert. It makes no sense to me. Lamar should be higher. I think it's a legitimate debate whether you go Lamar or Justin Jefferson, just because Jefferson is just he just gives you such an advantage in PPR at the wide receiver slot. It's when you look at the numbers, it's astounding where he's basically doing Cooper Cup-ish shit.
Yeah.
But he's 23, 24 years old, about to get a massive extension and stay in Minnesota, which is massive because Minnesota plays indoors, so that helps you come fantasy championship time. And I don't know. It's funny when people try to buy Jefferson, they try to use, his cousin's going to be there next year. Oh, guess what? I don't really give a fuck who's throwing it to him as long as they're mildly accurate.
Yeah.
Like you could put me back there. I'll find a way to get it to Jefferson.
No, and I mean there are wide receivers that over the years have been kind of deemed quarterback proof. Like it happens. It happens
Nuke?
a lot.
Nuke
Like
still
Nuke.
put up numbers with TJ fucking Yates.
It was way worse than that. They had Ryan Mallett, Brian Hoyer one year. It does happen. It's not something you bank on, but when usually you get some more evidence before this.
Yeah.
But
I mean, who's the best quarterback Hopkins had? Matt Schaub? Did he even have Schaub? I mean, it's Watson, but
yeah. And then it was I think he might. I don't remember if he was before or after Fitzpatrick.
Didn't they have Osweiler?
Yes, they did.
Ooh.
Yeah.
What were they thinking? Yeah, not great.
Tom Savage. That's right. Tom Savage.
Yo, with the Blooms with the shout. Yeah, so I mean, do we give any consideration to A-Rich at the 111? Do we think about A-Rich over Bijan?
No.
Okay.
And that's just because I've been very consistent about Bijan 101.
Sure.
Like the reason why Bijan makes sense this high in the draft, even if you're a rebuilder or just are not contending or whatever, is because like what non-injury path goes on in this season where he doesn't at least maintain a recruit value? Like
Bijan?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's 21 and he's generationally talented.
Yes.
Going to the offense that ran it the most last year, and they have Desmond fucking Ritter at quarterback.
Right.
The only thing that can derail him is if they give Tyler Algier 200 carries. That's literally the only thing. And they're not going to do that.
Yeah. I think way more can go wrong for Anthony Richardson. They've got to fix what was supposed to be one of the best lines in the league. That just was
crazy how it just fell apart.
It was not in the hands of a quarterback that doesn't know what he's doing. Matt fucking Ryan was, and they were just getting whipped.
He was washed.
Yes, but the amount of pressure they were allowing to him before he even got the ball off was inexcusable.
No, that's fair. I think it might have had something to do with Parks fucking Frazier calling the plays. So massive coaching jump there. The only bigger coaching jump I have from Jeff Saturday to Shane Steichen is Hackett to Peyton. I think that's the only bigger coaching jump. Well, I take that back. New England. Yeah. I thought about it. Has Bill announced him as the OC? Has he?
I haven't seen anything.
Is he okay with him being called the offensive coordinator? What a joke that is. Speaking of New England, I think we touched on it yesterday, but we'll touch on it again. I think Devontae Parker might be a signal that they actually are going to sign DeAndre Hopkins rather than the inverse.
Yeah, I mean, they also signed Juwan Bentley to an extension today too. I think that freed up some cap. And in a cruel, ridiculous, happenstance, I was thinking, well, when DeAndre Hopkins and Jalen Ramsey were drafted, they were both in the AFC South. They were division rivals. Ramsey gets traded. Nuke gets traded. Cardinals, Rams, division rivals. Ramsey's on the Dolphins now. And I told my son this yesterday. He goes, no, because he's a Pats fan. He's like, no, really? You think? I was like, I fucking hope not. But
wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I completely slipped my mind. Blooms. Funny you should mention that game, Blooms. I was watching with my brother. My brother, he's a casual NFL fan. He'll watch here and there. We watched the entirety of the Colts Broncos game, and it was the most fun we ever had. And it was the shittiest game possible because we literally were like, he's not going to throw an interception here. He's not going to throw. Oh, he threw a fucking pick. No, wait, watch it. And then, but we were just basically saying, what's the worst possible outcome that could happen on this play? And then it happened, and we were like, holy fucking shit.
Wasn't even the worst thing that they did. It was kicking the field goal instead of going for it.
Yeah, that whole game, the Colts were like, they both were horrific displays of coaching. And it was in that game that I was like, ooh, I think Hackett's going to get fired this year.
Yep.
Field goals and interceptions, baby. Who knew they could be so entertaining? So just kind of going back to Bloom's question, is there anyone else in the top 15 where you're just a little I'm not sold about it?
I mean, I think Watson is one just
Sure.
because he's been away for a really long time. His, and like I said, like that he's probably they're gonna feel a lot more with him if he doesn't deliver now, because they're gonna struggle to keep talent around him, and it's already not great as it is.
Yep.
Other guys in the top 15. I guess depending on settings, if you're really bullish on your quarterbacks, I really don't have a lot of the rookies this high anymore. Like me personally, I know that's where they are. I know they're, pushing up into the, rookie fever is getting that done, but I have them way down lower. Probably not third round, but I mean, towards the end of the second. I think there's just way too many studs ahead of them.
Sure. I mean, I'm not going to fault anyone for taking Amon-Ra ahead of CJ Stroud. I mean, hell, even taking Olave ahead of those guys. I probably would have Devontae ahead of them, but I probably draw the line at T. Higgins. I would rather have the rookie quarterbacks over T. Higgins.
I think so too. Let me see what else I got down here. I'll look at
and T. Higgins is another guy. I really just don't get it, man. I don't understand how. Okay, I don't think he should go ahead of Devontae Smith. And I know I'm really bullish on Devontae. I think people are really underestimating he could actually outscore A.J. Brown.
Yeah.
I think people are forgetting this guy won a Heisman, and he had, quote unquote, two guys ahead of him, and he still outproduced them. I'm talking about Jerry Jeudy and Henry Ruggs, who I think we'd all say Devontae was indeed the best player there. He played with Waddle, had no issues. He was still the alpha. I don't know, man. I find it just kind of, I don't really have another word other than flabbergasted that people are really sleeping on Devontae like that. I don't understand how Higgins goes ahead of him. I've watched Higgins go ahead of, he goes ahead of Amon-Ra, I would say 10% of the time, which again blows my mind. I don't think he should never go above Olave, and it happens. I don't know, man. I just, Higgins is the most overrated wide receiver to me.
I guess the one that I have a little more like on is Dak. Now, I don't think that Dak is going to fall off a cliff, but I have been hypercritical of Dak, and mostly just the Cowboys. It's not Dak's fault. He's a great player. Like, he does a lot of the stuff that, at the line that, you want to see. And he's done that since he was a rookie. Like, he knows how to do that inside and out. We have seen a lot of elite glimpses, a lot of elite glimpses. And for whatever reason, it just doesn't stick around. And at least for me, my patience with him this high in the draft is wearing thin. He's my what's in the box.
Gotcha.
So,
which is fair. I mean, going from Kellen Moore could be an issue. That O-line is getting a little bit older.
Yeah.
Now, the one thing that I find interesting about him, again, Dak, if you took him in the first round, maybe at the back end of the first round, you lost last year. You lost because he missed 5 games, right? He missed 4 or 5 games.
Mm-hmm. Which is becoming an issue every year now.
Yeah. I mean, he did snap his leg. So there was that one year, I think Dak was a top 5 pick. It was the year that I think he finished second. I think he finished second overall or something. He had a really big year and he jumped up boards. Cowboys hype helped. I think the problem with Dak is just like you almost have to accept he's basically sexy Kirk Cousins.
Exactly what it is.
That's
I'm glad you said
it. He's sexy Kirk Cousins. But here's the thing, and I think people don't realize this. I think he put up more points per game than Trevor Lawrence last year. And Trevor Lawrence is like, undoubtedly everyone would take Trevor Lawrence over Dak Prescott. And when you really look at the hard stats, their points per game were very similar. I think we're probably talking about 0.5 differential between them. So I think
actually 17.9 for T-Law, 17.8 for Dak Prescott.
Oh, wow. 0.1. So, but that's my point, though. Like, Dak is a QB1. It's hard to see the avenue where he could become a top 5 option again because he doesn't run. With Lawrence, we know Lawrence runs. We know Lawrence will run, hasn't sustained any terrible injuries. And we know Doug Peterson's going to throw the rock 600 times a game. There is a lot of talk that McCarthy's going to want to run the ball and play smash mouth football, but I'm here to tell you they don't have the personnel for it. So they could say they're going to run the ball all they fucking want. They don't have a running back that's built to play smash mouth football. If they plan on running Tony Pollard 25 times in between the tackles, you should sell him by week 4 because he's going to break down.
Yeah. Well, I think eventually they probably get Zeke back in there, which isn't really a winning fight. Maybe they are interested in Dalvin, but no, I mean,
maybe they're waiting on Mixon to be cut.
I think the difference between Dak and Trevor Lawrence is just time. We saw the most lauded quarterback prospect that's come out forever have a terrible year with one of the worst head coaching jobs we have ever seen. And the very next minute, the very next time we saw him, he is who he was supposed to be. Does he stay that way? I don't know. But I would say he did it with a much inferior supporting cast. Dak has not been starved for talent. And really when I started to wane from him is when they traded Amari Cooper. Like he got hurt that year. All right, it's not his fault. But then they traded Amari Cooper and, they made CD go full time and that's fine. But,
they did add Brandon Cooks.
Yeah, but
no Jalen Tolbert faith.
No. I think CD is a fantastic wide receiver, but when it comes to what's going to elevate Dak back into that status, he needs legit running mates. He's not a guy that can he can win at all levels of the field, but he gets capped a lot, especially with how much he plays in the slot. He can't threaten vertically like that anymore. Like when you
Cooks.
are the number one option. No, not Cooks. CD. Yeah.
Okay.
When you're the number one option and you're playing from the slot, it's so easy to cap you. Because they just, you had Michael Gallup on one leg.
Right.
So if he can't find guys that can help lift the lid for him a little bit, it's just gonna teams are just gonna key in on CD.
Blooms with the sharp point on CD. I'm okay on CD. I'm interested to see how people kind of freak out if he gets out to a slow start in a new offense.
He was actually performing favorably without Dak. Like I think
Cooper
I have it
Rush
down here. Yeah.
Well,
he was.
I tried to tell people that was going to happen because they're going to simplify the offense. It's going to be one read.
If you were to take that sample where he was playing with Cooper Rush and make it a 17-game pace, he would have finished as the wide receiver 11. That's what Chase did on his 8 games. So
with a
however many games, however many games he missed. Yeah. So I mean, like, not your favorite thing, but
one read system. I'm going to be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if CD has like a wide receiver 9 or wide receiver 10 season and people just freak the fuck out because
what's keeping him high for me? Yeah, what's keeping him high for me though is the receptions because he is A, B, and C in that offense. Like they have to feed.
Well, they have Cooks. They have Cooks. I wouldn't understand. I just think they're a sneaky 600 pass attempt team, and being a Jet fan, I can remember having Brian Schottenheimer as an OC. I can remember that Brian Schottenheimer was the offensive coordinator in Seattle that let Russ cook. So everyone's on this, they're going to run the ball thing. I just don't see that they don't have the personnel to do it. And they also have an offensive coordinator that we have already seen will throw the ball when all is said and done. He threw the ball so much with the Jets, I think in his last year, the last full season of Mark Sanchez, that Mark Sanchez had 30 passing touchdowns, which sounds good. But if Mark Sanchez is throwing 30 passing touchdowns, you ain't making the playoffs.
That's fair.
Ooh, Bloom's with the fun one there. Look at this. To me, CD turned out to be what we wanted Juju to become when AB left. I think that's all right. A little more athletic than Juju. Juju's slow as hell. We got a question. What up, Jordan? We got Garrett Wilson or Jalen Waddle in Dynasty.
That's an easy one for me.
I know who you're gonna take.
Yeah, no, it's not Waddle. It's Garrett Wilson. And it actually really doesn't have a lot to do with Wilson's performance this year. I love his game. He has the makeup to be one of the best players on the field. My issue with Waddle is just everything went absolutely right from him last year. He's so hard to rank because like even if you like dig into his stuff, he was not really the same. He was more like the 1B to Tyreek when it came to the deep threat. He did a lot of stuff over the intermediate level of the field, which is, a little more projectable year to year. He finished as a wide receiver 1 on just 75 receptions, which really just doesn't happen all that much. Really, if you look back at history, he did that. And then Debo did that with like an extra, 8 or 10 rushing touchdowns on the ground when he had a monster season.
Yeah, and we wanted him to get running back eligibility.
Yeah. And then from there, you have to go back, was it 6 years, to Allen Robinson, 2015 with Blake Bortles. And then before that was Vincent Jackson. Like
Nate Hackett, baby.
You don't finish as a wide receiver 1 in this heavy of a passing league anymore by doing that. Now, there are avenues for him to improve on that, having Tua all the way, through the season, year 2 of the system. But the problem is, how can you say that he's going to overtake Tyreek based on what? Tyreek Hill just had his best season ever. Like he was like 3 yards per route run. Like it was an insane season from him, and he had 1,700 yards. So
I think I would take Garrett Wilson over Waddle, but I'm going to play devil's advocate here. I do think that there are cases to be made for Waddle, and it goes back to he's got Mike McDaniel calling plays for him, man, and the defense's number one priority at all times is going to be Tyreek, and I think that helps Waddle here. I think that opens up even more opportunities. And because of his speed, he's always going to have the bubble screens, which is going to inflate his stats in PPR. He gets 3 to 4 free points a game just because they're just going to throw a hitch or they're just going to throw a bubble to him. So I do think it's very close. It's flip a coin to me. If you would have asked me this a month ago, I would have said Garrett Wilson, no brainer. But I've come around on Waddle. I like Waddle a lot, and I think he's kind of being slept on. But that being said, I would go Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, no, it wasn't until I dug into him this offseason, because when you think of him, you think of, how Tyreek plays. And Tyreek does a lot of the same stuff too, but like very stably and consistently. Jalen Waddle was targeted deep but for the most part was doing a lot more work in the intermediate and the short routes, like, which you don't think of with somebody that's as fast as he is. It's hard to. What's that?
Olave over Wilson.
Oh, man, after my heart.
No,
a man after my heart.
No shot.
I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it.
The Olave hype is starting to annoy me.
And honestly, I think part of that is people really hate Derek Carr, and he's actually a mid-tier guy I've been warming on.
He's great. He's great to hyper target one source.
Right.
And I get it, but I don't know. Also, Olave starting to give me injury-prone vibes. Feels like he's always nicked up a little bit. That New Orleans turf freaks me out, especially after it ate up Michael Thomas. I'm not crazy about the Saints coaching staff as a whole. So I feel like I think there's a little bit of a drop possible there. I'm not crazy about Pete Carmichael as a play caller with a new coaching staff with an exciting offense. I mean, he has the skills, he has the talent. I'm more concerned about the supporting cast around him. But that being said, we just watched Derek Carr just have Devontae back in the I'm the best wide receiver in the league kind of season. So
yeah,
it's not crazy, but get your guy. I think they're all great. I really think that the difference between them is a paper clip. So if you like Olave, it's not crazy. Get your guy.
And again, like you're filling that void because we're playing without running backs in this current market. So
we're not doing any
running. Good.
Blooms said spicy, and hey, look at that, our amigo. Love you too, buddy. We were talking about you earlier. Only good things. And Ewok hit us with the Q. We haven't even gotten to the butt stuff. Yeah, man. I think Olave's reached a point where it feels like I'm not going to be surprised if I see him taken at like the 201 anymore.
He's damn good, man. Like he's so damn good.
You should have. How many times do you think, and if you were to ballpark it, you've watched the GIF of him absolutely obliterating that defensive back?
250 times. Like, and that's
I
like
might take the over. I might take the over.
and that's including searching the GIF, sending the GIF, and then seeing it run multiple times.
Yeah,
so,
I'm taking the
over 250.
Definitely taking the over.
I love Olave so much.
I could see it. Whoa! All right, JL.
Oh, JL,
now we're
idea.
talking.
You have no idea how close.
Now we're talking.
No idea, because you started talking about him, and I was like, you have no idea how close I was to putting Devontae up in the same tier with and AJ Brown. And
are we ready for hot take season? Devontae Smith finishes with more fantasy points than AJ Brown this season.
So I do have some context on that.
That's my hot take.
Yeah. So in case we're not paying attention,
I think they both get over 250. They both get over 250. Let me be very clear. They both get over 250.
In case people have not been paying attention to Devontae Smith, he was a possession receiver last year. He was not a slot only receiver. He played a ton on the outside. As at his size, everything that everybody was worried about. Ayuk over Garrett Wilson. Are you kidding me?
Only Blooms is allowed to say that.
Listen, there's a chance, like, and it's going to be in the receptions. Like, he is going to be the primary chain mover for this offense. It's not going to be AJ Brown. AJ Brown is an elite talent, and they are going to feature him with big plays because that's where his strength is. But if you look at the way AJ Brown scored his points, like it was a beautiful season this year, but he had 8 deep touchdowns. Like, you usually just don't get a whole bunch of 30 and 40-yard bombs consistently. It's very tough to do, and he doesn't exactly have the speed to do that with someone like Tyreek would. He's not going to be a 100 possession guy. Like, he's not going to be a receptions god. He's not going to have that type of season. That's not who he is. So there's a lot of stuff that can shift in Philly. I'm not even totally concerned about the lower passing volume either. I think it's just, if you're going to pick someone, fine, pick AJ Brown. But Devontae Smith is right there for me, man.
JL saying he's always been an X. I just
can't press him if you can't touch him.
Exactly. Look, he's the only wide receiver in the league right now with a Heisman, so I don't think that was by accident.
That's true.
I just think people are really sleeping on him, and I'm enjoying getting him at a discount where I can. Ayuk's getting a lot of pub right now. He's the beat writer darling, which is a little different than the last couple seasons where he's been in Shanahan's doghouse at this time of the year for whatever reason. But this year, and I quote the sleeper blurb saying that he's been the best player in San Francisco's camp so far.
I think he is the best player that they have for their weapons
and stuff. Whoa. Don't you get disrespectful right now.
No, listen. All of this positive regression for Deebo Samuel just makes me want Ayuk even more because
I'm
just not about it anymore.
I'm talking about Christian McCaffrey, sir.
No, I know.
I'm talking about Christian McCaffrey, sir.
Yeah, well, there's quite a cliff on that ledge too. We got one healthy season.
Oh, it was a pretty.
I don't make the rules.
It was pretty good. It was a pretty good damn half of a season. I'm excited to see a whole full one. Blooms this time last year, him and Lance were doing that whole training bromance thing. Yeah, but Purdy's looking pretty good right now. I didn't want to do the Purdy's looking pretty good. That felt too low. I couldn't do it. I couldn't bring myself to it. We got one from Jordan. Jordan, here's one that had me questioning life. Season long, I'm starting to see arguments for Chase at the 101 over Justin Jefferson. And yeah, this has come up a few times. I've seen this on the socials a few different times where like people are legitimately trying to make the argument. And I don't understand it from a film aspect, from just knowing the offenses and the roles and knowing the divisional slate and strength of schedule. I don't see how you can argue, especially in season long. If you wanted to tell me in Dynasty, you want to go Chase because you know he's going to be attached to Burrow, I think that's a better argument than saying Jamar Chase is the 101 over Jefferson for this year. So if you want to say, hey, I just want to make sure my superstar wide receiver has a quarterback who's amazing, okay, you could sell me on that with Jamar Chase. But Justin Jefferson's whole offense is predicated around him. There's no one else. I don't care that they got Jordan Addison. He could have KJ Osborne's shit. I don't care that they had TJ Hawkinson, who I think he's grossly overvalued. A lot of his points in Minnesota came in that comeback win where he had like 47 PPR points. And I think people are losing their minds a little too much over TJ Hawkinson. Justin Jefferson put up, I think, like 346 points last year. Let me see what it is. What did J put up? 368 points. For context, that's 100 more points than Olave and Garrett Wilson put up.
Yeah.
So your typical wide receiver one's going to put up 250 to 275. He put 100 more up on the board. And he left some meat on the bone. He had some donut games. I don't see that, man, at all. So
I think it's easy to see the void in Chase's playing time and saying, oh, look how well he could have done. But I think we kind of make that distinction with his running mate, T. Higgins, who's another guy that we find very overrated. It is a often losing game to bet on a void. Like you are trying to make decisions on something that didn't happen.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can get away with that, but Chase finishing as a top 12 wide receiver down, was it 4 games? 4 games he was out.
Yeah.
I can never remember the number for some reason, but like,
yeah, but also
that's because he's Jamar Chase, but that doesn't necessarily make him Justin Jefferson in season long.
Chase missed 4 with the hit and then the DeMar Hamlin game. So not his fault, and that looked like it was going to be a blow up game for him because Tre'Davious White had absolutely nothing for him. All right. This is a fun one, Ewok. Ayuk or the 107?
Oh, Ayuk easily.
I don't know about it. Whoa, take it easy, huh? Take it easy. Easily.
Ayuk over basically every wide receiver in this draft class. I'd probably still take JSN over him, but easily
it's
Ayuk.
Addison, Zay, and
Quentin.
Dalton Kincaid. I think Dalton Kincaid is technically the 107 in tight end premium. So 107, Addy and QJ. Yeah, I think Blooms has this right though. I think it's Ayuk. He's too good. The one that I think that probably has the best shot is Addison. I mean, no, Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers. All right, we got a question for AJ here. What's your outlook? Yeah, Antonio. What's your outlook on Jameson Williams for the first 6 games?
What's up, Jordan? I think he's gonna be eating a lot of chips. I don't think there's gonna be a whole lot of playing time for him. We can talk about after. We can talk about after question. How that goes.
This made my night. That was an awesome question. Is it weird that I feel like J-Mo's actually like a buy now?
No, I don't think so at all.
He's falling to he's made it to round 10 a few times. And
yes.
I'm kind of like, all right. He was drafted.
And I think Goff is like a kind of like a damper on the subject because whether you like Goff or not, you don't think he's going to be a top finisher. He's a QB2 all day long. And he has not really been a guy that, really throws the long ball like J-Mo needs. So I think it's a hedge for next year. I don't think you have to buy him now, truthfully, because I don't expect that. I don't think he's going to have like a blow up second half. If you believe in him and believe in the talent, go for it. Get him now, or before the suspension is up. But
yeah,
I think that he will still stay low enough to where you can get him at the end of the season if you really believe in him.
I think he probably has a week 1 cutoff in terms of a buy window, because if you get too close, if you try to buy him in like week 3, week 4, the other person's just going to leverage. Oh, he's coming back. I could just wait. Right. Blooms. Yep. We do it for the fans, man. We do it for our supporters. We dedicate this one to you, Blooms. You're our Tom Brady. So, but seriously, on Jameson Williams, the name that comes into my head with Goff is can he have a Brandon Cooks kind of year? Like 80, 1,200, 7-ish touchdowns. If he does that, I think he's probably going to jump up into the young stud range, right?
Yeah. If he was to do that over the back half of the season, I mean, Christian Watson's going in the 5th right now, and that was largely predicated on just
my biggest fade. I have to be right on Christian Watson. If I'm not right on Christian Watson, I'm probably going to hear it from literally everybody.
Probably. Because I actually kind of like him.
Whoa! Here we go. Abanikanda for Offensive Rookie of the Year. Brees plays 4 healthy games, and Abanikanda pops off after that. Woo! Look, I mean, when the Jets drafted Abanikanda, it was definitely heralded as like a steal. It was definitely expected for him to go a lot higher. Hey, man, I think he's going to get some carries. It would basically Brees would have to have a setback for that to happen. But hey, crazier things have happened. I wonder what the odds are on that. I'm going to try to give it a check real quick for Offensive Rookie of the Year.
So you can guarantee a sleepless night?
It's probably like plus 6,000. Probably something crazy like that.
Yeah.
Oh, we got a trade. Here we go. This is what I'm.
I did collect some trades for you as well.
Let's go. Ridley, Ramondre 210 or Pittman 24 first and a second. So settings. Let's assume Dynasty Superflex full PPR. Let's say start 10. Start 10 or start 11. We'll go with that. I think that'll probably just be our default unless we're told otherwise. I'd probably go left side here.
Really?
Yeah.
This is my trade. He sent me my trade. I was Pittman side. Yeah.
You got Pittman?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I could see it's really close. I could see a roster, and I'm not backpedaling. I'll tell you if you won or lost a trade. Yeah. I just think Ridley and Stevenson are going to pop enough that I can get a first for them if everything goes to shit. The 210 is what? Hooker? No, it's not Hooker. It's probably more like Marvin Mims, Josh Downs, maybe Roshan. I guess where's the first?
The first is probably late-ish, but it's a total teardown. I was tired of holding Ridley.
Oh, I mean, if it's a teardown, yeah, I'm kind of off Pittman a little bit, but probably shouldn't. Pittman is one of those guys who can boom. I think he can he's a little bit of a post-hype sleeper this year. So
he's actually a guy like I know Alec Pierce is getting a lot of hype because he's being comped to the cheaper dire version of George Pickens and Anthony Richardson throwing in the long ball. Like everybody thinks about Michael Pittman as like this hulking wide receiver, which he kind of can be, but like he's actually very finesse. He does a lot of work in the short area of the field. And if you have a quarterback that has accuracy troubles, I think there's enough of a PPR floor there to carry you into wide receiver 2 territory, even if Anthony Richardson isn't actually playing that well. So that's what I was thinking there.
He doesn't have his dad's biceps, so he can't hulk anybody.
I'm also not in love with Stevenson right now.
Yeah, I think he's reaching a point in hype where I'm not comfortable anymore. Bloom, Seawatt should have begged Rodgers to bring him along, and he'd be a good number 2 for the Jets. True. Very true. Ewok says he likes Pittman. JL hits us with it. Would not surprise me if Abanikanda got less than 50 carries this year.
We didn't even talk about him as a prospect. It's true. He has no vision. He is the Isaiah Pacheco. That's who he is.
Fair. I cannot argue with that. He's not someone that I'm thinking about, but hey, sometimes long shots happen. But yeah, Pittman. You know what? I'm kind of wavering on that. In a full tear, I definitely see what you're doing there. I think Ramondre is definitely he's a polarizing prospect for someone who kind of killed it last year. Either you love him or you just see Patriots logo and you're like, I want nothing to do with that running back.
Yeah. And usually I'm the one that hops right on board, but I was looking at his production and remember, like, Damian Harris was hurt a lot of this year, and you would think that they were eating up. He was just sucking up all the touches, and he's proclaiming himself as the guy this year. Like, he didn't do shit on the ground the second half of the year. He had like one game over 100 yards, and everything after that was like 40, 50 yards. And everything that he was doing was coming in receptions because Mac Jones was just dump off, dump off, dump off. The line sucked ass because they were trying to learn this weird new hybrid of like New England scheme plus the West Coast wide zone stuff.
Yeah.
It was not good. And I just don't know what part of that season for Stevenson is going to be projectable into next year because so much of his points came off of receptions.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. And then you're getting the Pierre Strong kind of like training camp media darling hype. And also it's so hard to trust the Patriots with running backs at all. But then again, I don't know. I could kind of see it. I think Bill O'Brien could help him there. I don't know, man. I'm hedging on Ramondre a little bit. But I do, regardless of it, I do think he's starting to reach a point in ADP that I'm just not comfortable with anymore. Like if I'm taking him in like the 5th, 6th, 7th round, yeah, I love that. I love that kind of value. But now we're starting to see him creep into the 4th with regularity. And in redraft, he's going in the 2nd. He doesn't make it past the 2nd. So
that's ridiculous.
We've just kind of reached a point where it's like, all right, it's kind of like what happened with Gibson. It's not an apples to apples comparison, but remember when Gibson, initially you could get him as a rookie third rounder. Yeah. And then I forgot who the running back was, but they got rid of him. And then he got the CMC comp from Ron Rivera. Then he jumped all the way from being like a 13th round startup pick to being a 5th round startup pick overnight. And I just think
it was the CMC comp. That's right. That's what it was.
Yeah, everybody lost their goddamn minds. As soon as I heard that comp, I started to sell him everywhere. I was like, nope, ain't gonna happen. JL Khan's trade. He sends Higgins, Geno, 24 first, Swift, and Chig. Gets Josh Allen, Mike Williams, and Aaron Jones. One thing that we have, one piece of information that I think is important here is he's a full-blown contender. He has Mahomes. Does he have Jefferson on that team too? I think he had Jefferson as well on that team. So this is a big boy trade. If you were to probably put this in like a trade calculator, it might have him losing. But I think this
think it would. Like,
really? You think Josh Allen is that big of a deal?
I think yeah, honestly, I do. I would honestly probably make a lot of this deal, even if I wasn't like, I mean, the tertiary pieces at the end, Mike Williams and Aaron Jones, you're not going to do that if you're not contending, but
sure. 100%.
Like if you were to just chop it off at the ends and then just try to make something happen for Josh Allen, I mean, I would get that done. Like T Higgins is good. Like the calcs favor him, but, he's somebody that's larger in name than in value.
Unpopular opinion. I'd probably make this trade if I only get Josh Allen.
That's what I was gonna say. Like,
I hate all of the players that he traded.
Yes,
so
so do I.
It kind of helps. It kind of helps me because like I don't like I've already said I think T is give me what's in the box. Geno I actually like, but I don't think he's going to be QB5 this year. Right. 24 first. I don't remember. Well, on his team, it's 100% going to be late. Swift, I hate, and Chig, I think he's
a dart.
I think he's getting so much hype right now. They're like, oh well, he only played 30% of the snaps. I'm like, yeah, there's a reason he only played 30% of the snaps. Everyone's freaking out over him, and I think he got a little inflated off of that rushing attempt he got when Malik Willis was the quarterback. I don't think those same opportunities are going to be there with Tannehill. But definite win. I think unanimous here. We're both taking Josh Allen there, and Mike Williams and Aaron Jones. Hallelujah! You got bonus points. I think I might even make that trade with his roster in that league, even if that 24 first was early.
Yeah, I mean, like that's just a bargain for Allen.
Banners fly forever, man. You get a chance to stack Josh Allen with Patrick Mahomes. He said it's Diggs and Lamb. He said it's Diggs. I mean, that's massive. Absolute win there. J Dub's asking, where does Dalvin land? Best fit and where he'll actually sign.
So the only place that I think he fits is actually in a place that's really going to be terrible for a lot of people. Like I still think the Chargers are there because they've got to make something happen. They've got to make, because Brandon Staley's job is on the line. We already talked about it, but
we think it's on the line. He should already be gone. He should already be gone. He should not have a job. And like, he might be a nice guy. I don't ever want to like call for someone's job who I don't know, but motherfucker, you had a 30-point lead.
Yeah.
You lost.
And I mean, like, I figured if he was really all that serious about what Miami was offering, he would have taken it because this market has been like no other. And it's not just in fantasy. Like, it's just nobody's doing that.
Well, you got it. I'm going to hold off on what I got.
Okay.
I think this. I've seen this way too many times in my life. The problem with being a Jets fan and you being a Giants fan, I'm sure you've laughed at this a few times. What players know is that the Jets get really thirsty for anyone to come play for us, so they start to use us as leverage, and they use us to negotiate against people. I think it's fairly obvious Dalvin should be in Miami. It's the fit that makes the most sense. He's a Florida guy. He went to Florida State. He's expressed implicitly in the past that he would like to play in the South. He definitely wants to be in warm weather. He's voiced that a few times about Minnesota. It makes sense. Miami just makes a lot of sense. Compatibility wise, the scheme that they run, they have a good committee. They don't have to overuse him. And for all intents and purposes, they're in full on contender mode. So I like the fit a lot. I like how McDaniels would use him. I think he's just using the Jets as kind of a leverage play to get Miami to bring their offer up. I think he just doesn't want to get a David Montgomery kind of deal. I think if they give him 8.5, maybe $9 million, he signs maybe like a 2-year, $18 million deal, with some escalators or bonuses. I just don't know if they want to, and I also don't know if they have the cap room. We saw them starting to float, sending out Mostert. I think that would probably be the logical move there, where they're trying to save money on Mostert's deal. But I think it's Miami. Sometimes the obvious place is just, it's the best answer, and it's not exactly fun. I guess sleeper play would be Dallas. I think Dallas would have a very, very strong need for him. But I don't. They seem focused on paying Trevon Diggs and CeeDee Lamb. I don't know. I wouldn't mind him on the Jets just to watch all the Breece Hall owners freak the fuck out. It'd be awesome. Diggs and Lamb. I also have Seekirk, Bateman, Quads, Miles Sanders, Connor, and Pitts.
Yeah, he's got enough to make that. He can piece together that wide receiver 3 in case,
Well, it's also it's a lot of lineup spots there, so you're going to get a little thinned out there.
I do have a couple trades if you want them.
Yeah, let's get them. I'll
So
type them up.
Yep. So this one is CeeDee Lamb and 201. For Najee, 111, 24-1, DPJ, and 309.
Interesting. So that's the where's the 24-1?
I'm assuming it's his. I'm assuming he didn't say. We'll assume mid, but probably late.
Okay. I mean, the 201 111 flip is kind of funny to me a little bit. All right, but what's the difference?
All right, fine.
There?
Give me CD and I'll take it.
Yeah. What's the difference though there?
There isn't one.
I guess it's King. It could be Kincaid there. I don't know if he falls that far. You just missed the 3 wide receivers. Yeah, it's unless that 24-1 is top 3 CD side wins, in my opinion here. Maybe even top 4. I don't know. This isn't the trade that I think I want to make for CD, who's kind of like a stone cold. It's very hard for him to depreciate in value for a little bit of a wild card in Najee, a late first flip. I mean, you gain 2 selections. So Najee, 2 selections, a future 1, and trash. I mean, DPJ trash, 309 trash. So yeah, no, I don't know. I don't like it for CD. I don't want what's in the box here. And this is coming from someone who is incredibly bullish on Najee. I really think the Steelers draft really made me excited about Najee again, but I'm not sending CD fucking Lamb for him.
Yeah.
Ewok's with me there. I'm warming on Najee as a side note. Yeah, I mean, they added Broderick Jones and Darnell Washington, who is basically Mercedes Lewis Jr.
Yeah.
That clip of him moving the sled blew my mind. I was like, holy shit, he's really fucking good.
It definitely, I traded him to you a little while ago. Wasn't the part of the deal I was the most upset about, but
Cooper?
No, I mean
Cooper Cup?
Yeah, I didn't want to give you Cooper Cup.
I mean, I didn't want to trade DJ Moore.
I know.
Well,
you want to do a 1-for-1 right now?
Well, no thanks.
Okay, that's what I thought.
No thanks.
No, I think Najee's fine. I think him getting hit behind the line is going to affect him more than most backs that do have the stop-start quickness, the agility side to side to actually get around, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So fixing that, but I mean, man, I am so out like on the Steelers as a whole. I really do not get. No, I like them as a team.
No, I understand.
I do not
get. Is this a Canada thing? Is this a Canada?
It's a Matt Canada thing, and it's a.
Yeah, that's fair.
I did not see if year 2 magically comes together because he's a rookie. Fine, didn't see it coming. Happens all the time. Matt Canada, we've seen quite a bit. 14 jet sweeps and then running right up the gut.
What's the best option? What's the best outcome for Pickett? He turns into Danny Dimes.
Yeah, I was going to say Mitchell Trubisky. No, I don't think that's okay. So best outcome.
Also, on a side note, I will send you Cooper Cup back straight up for DJ Moore if you give me Jalen Hurts back.
Jesus. Cross league
trade. If you give me Jalen Hurts back, I'll make as soon as I did it, I was like, I have made a big mistake. I have made a terrible mistake.
No DJ slander. No.
Jared, what up? As always, one of our favorite people here. We got DJ slander here. No. Just a trade between us.
You can put it up if you want to put it up.
Yeah. I mean, I think I remember it off the top of my head. No, thanks for coming, Jared. We appreciate
As I
you.
go to bed, I think about this trade every night. I know exactly what it is.
No, I don't think that. Don't give me that. I didn't want to give up Henry.
Yeah.
Yeah, they added Samulo from Philadelphia. Good play. I mean, their offensive line was atrocious last year, so
yeah, it was.
I'm definitely happy to see that. So I sent Henry plus plus sleeper of the off season. Was it? It was the 203, right?
Yeah, I think so. It was 202 or 203. It wasn't the one, but it was an early 2.
No, it was 202. You're right. It was the 202.
Yeah.
Because I made the joke of I won't take 16 hours to make it. And then I took 8 or 9 to trade with you. And then you took like another 10. I was like, I said I would not take 16 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a trade that me and AJ did. I sent out Derrick Henry, DJ Moore, Tim Patrick, and the 202 for Kupp, Najee, and Jimmy G. I guess the context here is we're both contending here. And neither of us have any fucking picks.
Yeah.
So we're kind of we're trying to get younger via trades. I think you're kind of in this position where like you have you have more of an outlet than I do, I think, in that league. Where you can kind of like transition a little bit easier than I can, but you have to just where your roster's at, you got to take some big swings, some big risks.
Yeah.
And to reduce the age on Kupp to DJM, I don't hate it for you, and I don't think you were ever going to start Jimmy G. And
and that's why I came to you. I knew I could offload my QB collateral on you.
I was I like Jimmy G. I think he's a buy right now. I don't understand. The 202 did turn into Kendre Miller though. And I don't know. I feel like this is a pretty fair, even trade across the board, to be honest with you, because Henry can match Kupp fairly easily, and he has positional scarcity. Najee and DJM probably put up the same amount of points. And, Tim Patrick plus the 202 is a win for Jimmy G. So I really feel like it's pretty even across the board.
Yeah, especially if Patrick hits. Just
if Tim Patrick hits, I'm gonna be so furious because I'm the one who hyped him, and I hyped him before the ACL.
You did, yeah.
He fucking goes and blows it. I should have probably traded you Odell instead of fucking Tim Patrick. I'll send you Odell straight up for Tim Patrick right now. Yeah, JL hit us with 202 as Kendre Miller. Who are your picks in the AFC and the NFC and the Super Bowl champ? Mine's boring as fuck. I think it's going to be a rematch.
You think it's going to be a rematch?
Yeah.
Well, I haven't even really given it a ton of thought. I'll be honest with you.
It's going to be a rematch. I guess my hottest take is the Bills miss the playoffs.
Jeez.
Yeah. My hottest take is Bills don't make the playoffs.
I don't know.
What was that? Oh man, do you hear that? Do you hear that? Do you hear all those tables breaking in Buffalo right now? They're like, we took you in
Yeah,
when you had Zach Wilson, you fuck.
If the other Jordan's still here, he's a Bills fan. Oh no, he's not a Bills fan. He's a Dolphins fan. He's happy about that.
Jared says Jimmy G won't finish the season. Yes,
obviously.
I will
Obviously,
sell,
won't finish the season.
I will sell him way before that for the 301.
He may not even start the season.
No, he's gonna be fine. He's gonna. Be fine. I
guess
have the Jags Super Bowl future.
How do you feel about maybe Dallas going all the way for once?
What?
Oh, I know.
Absolutely not.
Just to poke fun at jail.
Blooms?
No.
Blooms is right. Blooms was having such a good episode, and then his Giants brethren goes and says some slanderous stuff. Like that. I mean, we could run the tape from BYE back then. I thought the Cowboys were going to beat the Niners. I believe in that defense. That defense is awesome.
Yeah.
So it would not shock me. I just think Philly is just so fucking good, man. They have they just got even better. They just added the best.
So I'll take Philly, but I don't think it's going to be a rematch. I don't think it's going to be the Chiefs again.
You don't think the Chiefs are going to go back?
No.
What? Why are the Miami Dolphins going to win the AFC East, and why is Aaron Rodgers going to be mediocre? Well, I don't think those are mutually exclusive. It wouldn't surprise me if the Dolphins won the East. I think the biggest question for Miami is outside of Tua's health, how is Mike McDaniels going to handle the adjustments? Because I think we saw, coupling it with Tua's injury and that he probably was playing concussed, I think McDaniel's scheme kind of got figured out a little bit there at the end. I'm not talking about the Skylar Thompson games. I'm not talking about those.
Right.
I'm talking about with Tua, where, we knew San Francisco kind of just fucking, all right, it's a great defense. They buzzsawed a few people, you know what I mean? But also Brandon Staley just outcoached him. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that's kind of weird to see. And no one's a bigger Mike McDaniel fan than me. I love the guy. I wish he was coaching the Jets. But I do think that there's something there. I think he can make the adjustments, and I would bet that he does. But I do think it's something to kind of earmark and take a little extra glance at. And hey, if Tua can stay healthy, he's the biggest key there. They also, I think it fell under the radar, but they added Vic Fangio as their defensive coordinator
out of retirement.
That guy knows how to fanny pack Fangio. He knows how to coach defense, and they got Jalen Ramsey for fucking Hunter Long and a 3rd round pick. If he's still Jalen Ramsey, that's going to be an absolute steal. So it would not surprise me in the least if they won the East. And as far as Rodgers being mediocre, we're going to see a vintage Aaron Rodgers season this year.
Oh, boy.
We're going to see a vintage Aaron Rodgers season this year.
Oh, boy. The
motherfucker broke his thumb. He broke his thumb. He broke his thumb. Let's see you guys throw with a broken thumb. He found enlightenment, my friend. He went and did ayahuasca, psychedelics, mushrooms. He knows how to read defenses differently than all of us now. He's a guy. He's a guy.
I look forward to it.
He's finally found the right stage for his diva-ness. He's gonna love New York. Look at him. He can't get enough of it. I think it's a big jump from Green Bay to New York, and I think he's enjoying being the belle of the ball a little bit there. Nothing wrong with that. I just think it reminds me of Tom Brady with New England, how that last game against the Titans, we were all just like, oh, Brady's washed. He should retire. What? He's going to Tampa? Why is he going to Tampa? Tampa's never won anything. This, and that. And then he goes out and puts up banner seasons. So I really kind of feel the same way there. I don't know. I'm all in on both teams. like I said, I have the Bills missing the playoffs. Ooh, JL, Dolphins versus Cowboys.
Jeez.
Ooh, that'd be fun. That would be fun. And I would just hate both teams, so it would be fine with me.
That would not be fun for Tua.
Oh, Micah Parsons.
Ah!
Yeah,
Intentional
no.
grounding.
Yeah, no. Oof. Yeah, no. Not great there. Does Diggs leave Buffalo? Well, he will at some point. I don't think it'll be this year. I don't think they can. I think that's part of I truly think that that's part of his tantrum throwing. He knows that they can't get rid of him. He just signed a 4-year, $96 million deal.
Yeah.
I don't know what the guarantees are off the top of my head, but I know it kicked in this year, and I know his dead cap's probably infinity. So
I could tell you.
Is it infinity? It's probably infinity.
It might be infinity.
The Bills have to relocate because they cut Stephon Diggs.
Yep. If they were to cut him this year, it would be 45 million dead cap.
I was gonna say like 50, so I feel
trade would be.
They would die. They would spontaneously.
They would still die. They would still die, even if they traded him.
They would spontaneously explode. They can't trade him, and I think that's behind him speaking out, and let's call it a tantrum. But I think he's probably also right, man. I think Ken Dorsey is. We were talking earlier about biggest coaching upgrades. I think it flew under the radar that was one of the biggest coaching downgrades. Yeah. Daboll to Dorsey. Can Dorsey improve? Sure, but from what we saw last year, man, I'm not big on it, and I think that defense. I think there's a lot of. I'm heavily concerned, especially the couple guys that have torn their ACLs in Tre'Davious White and Von Miller. I think that defense. I don't know, man. I don't know how you could feel confident in that defense when it's gotten consistently just destroyed in the playoffs. So,
well, I think that's part of the reason why McDermott's taking the play calling back. That's how he coached his way into the job. You make a solid point.
I'm not.
Trey White has not bounced back like he once has. That Von's probably not going to bounce back the way he has. I mean, he is Von. He could probably come back, but
he's 34. I think he's 34.
This could be the window closing. As far as Diggs, like they can't, even if contract wasn't an issue, like he has had 3 straight 100-yard reception seasons with the Bills. Like he is the offense first, second, and third. And I know Buffalo's trying to shift focus. They're trying to be more balanced. They drafted, what was it, Torrance, the Mauler guard.
Osiris Torrance, from Florida.
They signed the fullback. They got Damian Harris in there. Like they want to do that stuff, and that's cute. And you want to run in more, 2 tight end sets, draft Dawson Knox, whatever. I mean, the hell's his name?
Kincaid.
That's fine. Play matchups and stuff, but you don't have another alternative outside of Diggs. So,
yeah, it's not Gabe Davis isn't the answer, and Shakir had some flashes at the end there, but I think we have to understand the roots of Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane. I think they're implementing a little bit of the Cam offense here, where Cam ran a lot of 12 personnel, big receivers. Kincaid's a big target. Dawson Knox a big target. Gabe Davis a big target. Diggs, while he's not, I think he's like 6 foot. The separation that he creates is big. So it's very reminiscent of the Carolina offense with Cam Newton, especially when Carolina had Steve Smith, where Diggs is probably a little more elusive than Steve Smith, but Steve Smith was just an absolute dog of a receiver, and I think Diggs' route running is ridiculous. So that being said, it's the defense to me that kind of I don't know, man. I think they might be falling out there.
It's possible.
Yeah, we got to. Jordan has a question. Why give Knox that money if they were just gonna go Kincaid? I don't buy the whole 2 tight end thing. Look at Ertz holding Goddard back in Philly. Yeah, that's definitely a fair point. That's probably the best comp that we have recently. I think Ertz was a little bit better than Dawson Knox, and Kincaid definitely has a little more hype than Goddard coming out. That being said, it's going to be an interesting switch to 12 personnel for them. I think the bigger issue I would say there is that I think the biggest issue is Dorsey. That's the bigger issue to me. And they have to do something because it's not working. And I think that they recognize that their defense is a little bit more vulnerable than it has been in the past. And they're going to try to chew some clock with that committee that they have. They have Cook, Damian Harris, Latavius Murray. Yeah, we'll see. It's going to be interesting to try to watch them make that switch. But I think it's kind of necessary. You can't do the same thing over and over.
And I mean, for the record, like 2 tight end does not mean you're going to be running 70%. Like everybody runs more than half the snaps in 3 wide. Like when you think of 2 tight end teams, like it's a larger piece of the pie, but everybody's playing 3 wide. Everybody.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, there's just some tight ends that are basically receivers, and I think that's what we're kind of projecting for Kincaid. I don't think he has massive blocking grades, to my understanding. He just probably blocks better than your average slot receiver.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think the 2 tight end set is a little bit disingenuous because it implies when you think 2 tight end, you think on the line. Well, that's not really how, especially with guys like this, like Kincaid and Knox are not the mauler edge of the formation, box out the defensive end. That's not who they are. What it does is it screws with your personnel. So you're putting the defense in a bind, whether or not they want to put the linebacker or the safety on you. And so the more opportunities you have to do that across the formation, just is a little chess game. So it's correct that you don't draft Kincaid because you think they're going to go more run heavy. You draft Kincaid because you want to exploit matchups either on one side or both sides of how you're lining up and let the tight end take advantage. But
I just don't know who else could they have taken there. Kincaid was perceived as a value there, if I remember correctly from the draft. They gave Knox a 454. It's just kind of how it goes. I don't think you could have enough good tight ends there. Might have been an AO moment, but JL thinks the Bills' biggest issue is a potentially recovering Von Miller. I 100% agree. An ACL from a speed rusher off the edge at 34 years old that's definitely terrifying. When you eliminate the name Von Miller, that's terrifying. So, but to be fair, Von Miller is that caliber of athlete, and if anyone's going to be that guy, it's him. So, I would be concerned. Since I like trades, would you give an early 2024 second and a late 24 second for Madison? So I haven't gotten too deep enough on the 24 class to have a projection of who's going to be there. And also, I think it's very hard to kind of estimate that. But I do know at least the first 5 picks I absolutely love, and there's a potential that I love the 6th one. So when I start to see that kind of trending, it leads me to think that it's going to be a pretty deep draft. I probably shy away from this trade, just in terms of doing it in June. I probably don't do this in June. I want to get a little bit more information on how Madison is doing. Has Dwayne McBride usurped him? Has anyone else that they bring in? It's a little bit early for me to be buying running backs, especially for an early second and a late second. My process is I want to get closer to late August, early September before I start kind of making those trades. But to also, on the other side of the coin, is if someone else buys Madison, you may never be able to have the opportunity again. I think Minnesota is an offense that's going to throw the ball 600 plus times. So I'm not exactly targeting their running back position off the rip. So it's not a hate on Madison. It's I need the hype to go down a little bit. But if you believe in Madison, if you think that he's going to produce, RB2 numbers, if you're fully confident about that, that's a fine trade in my opinion.
Yeah, I was just gonna go back and look at like his performance and stuff because we don't really see a lot of him. We see him instead, for oh my god, I'm in the wrong section. That's why. Like we see him play a little bit.
Is that what you used to say in Blockbuster when you ended up in the X-rated video section?
In the wrong section.
What are you looking at? Oh, how did I get here, honey?
So I mean, the thing with Madison is that he's without calling it a cop out, like he's just a guy, like he's just a guy.
A little bit.
There's nothing else I can say about it. He's not really a breakaway runner, even in the he actually did a lot of that in the very beginning. Like when he had limited play time, he had a lot of breakaway runs. But I don't think his vision's all that great. I think that when he was succeeding, that was under a different regime, under Mike Zimmer, where they did value running the ball a lot. He's someone that has stayed in the minds of fantasy owners really long time, probably longer than they should have, without really even doing much. So this is a very easy overpay situation. The fact that it's 224s almost doesn't even matter to me. I think I would rather re-roll anyway. Like I struggle 100%. If I'm contending and if I can sort out or parse out that I think he's going to be the lead dog, I'll pay a second for that, even if it's early. But after that, like I've seen people like try to send firsts for him. I've seen people try to like add a whole bunch of stuff on, and I'm not interested. I think you can find a back exactly like Madison or better with reasonable expectation somewhere in those two picks. So I would not do it.
Yeah, no, I would definitely take the pick side. I don't know if I made that clear or not. I was mostly just kind of going on a rant about Madison. I just think he's another guy where I don't think in redraft he's not going lower than the 4th. He's really high in redraft. I'm not crazy about Madison. I think, in the end, I think the juice isn't worth the squeeze there, and I'd rather see what I could buy with those picks. I think I could get a better player with those picks than Madison. So if I'm getting the picks, absolutely, I'm ecstatic. A little more tepid if I'm getting the Madison side. Blooms is hitting us with Kincaid. Was 100% going to be the pick there. They thought the Cowboys were going to take them. Yeah, no, 100%. I think Bean has been pretty. I think he went on McAfee or somewhere and he said, yeah, they were definitely worried about the Cowboys. If Dalton Kincaid was a Cowboy, where would he go in rookie? Let's say it's tight end premium, 1 point tight end premium.
Ooh. Damn. Like with the showing that Schultz just had too, like I feel like people would be losing their minds. He caught a lot of balls.
He would be the no doubt 107, right?
Yeah,
No,
probably. I
no.
mean, over Zay, probably. Yeah. I mean,
Is JL
otherwise,
still here? JL, if Kincaid went to the Cowboys, would he be the no doubt 107? I think he's going to say yes.
probably.
Backup running back season come up. That's what it's been, man. The last 2 years, it's just everyone's just like, I'll just buy a bunch of RB2s.
Yeah, well, I mean, like if Madison was all that special, don't you think we would have seen him at some point alongside Dalvin Cook?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's just I'm really just looking at the offense standpoint, and especially with O'Connell being, under McVay, coming from the Shanahan. He was a backup quarterback for the Shanahans for a while. Went to New England. Just looking at his profile, it really seems that he's going to be someone that doesn't really put a lot of emphasis on the running back position. And when I say that, I think he thinks his system is interchangeable at that spot. And I don't know. When you watch Cook in that offense and then you watch Madison, I don't think there's anyone who is like Madison's better. So,
and even Cook was kind of declining last year too. Like he was not
unequivocally, all the next gen stats showed that he's declining, but he was also hurt. He had to get surgery.
He always needs to get surgery.
Yeah.
He's got that. It's like it's not Nurse's elbow, but it's like Nurse's shoulder for him.
Yeah, man. Always with the harness. I'm glad AJ Dillon height from last year died down.
God.
Yeah. There was a moment in time where I was buying the hype. AJ bailed me out on that one.
And then I bailed myself out on that one.
Yep. Now you're just stuck with AJ Dillon. Now he goes nowhere.
Yeah.
I think he could get 200 carries though.
He will run the prettiest 4-yard cloud of dust run you will ever see.
I mean, I'd take him in like round 13. JL says 107 for sure. Bloom says, imagine if Kincaid went to the Cowboys, he'd be pushing 106. No way. Nah, yeah, I'm with JL here. I would say that would be a 10% of the time kind of deal.
Yeah.
I don't know. There could be some. So if he was on the Cowboys, I could see someone going, oh, well, Tyler Lockett's there. DK Metcalf. He didn't play last year. Yeah, I'd give it a 10% of the time he makes it to the 106. I don't see how you could take him over Stroud or Gibbs, though. That's wild to me. No.
Oh, it's confessions.
No.
I hate Pickett so much, man.
Oh.
I hate him so much. The only reason I have
RIP.
him ranked with the other mid-tier guys is that because he's a rookie, because he could just freaking figure it out. But nothing that I saw last year indicates that to me. Like I know his PFF grade was good the second half of the season. Do you know what he would have put up stat-wise off that? So if you completely omit the week that he got hurt and then the following week that he got that he didn't even play, his 17K base would have been 297 completions, just over 3,400 yards and 17 touchdowns. He wasn't throwing the ball. He had the training wheels on, which is fine. That's fine. I'm not upset that he was not a roaring success.
Mm-hmm.
But go try to sell any other Steelers offensive playmaker right now.
It's tough.
Nobody wants them. So why is Kenny Pickett skyrocketing in drafts right now? I don't get it.
Is he?
Yes, he is.
He's a polarizing guy for me. Sometimes he goes in the 5th, and then other times he goes in like the 9th.
Yeah.
Blooms. That hurt to read. Pre-drep, please say yes. JL saying you guys were the AJ Dillon haters.
Yeah.
And then, nah, not pre-draft. Pickett. Then I'll die on that hill. Well, it can't get any worse.
It's tough.
Well, maybe the offensive line helps.
At least you picked the one that went in the first round. We're taking Malik Hooker.
Malik Willis.
Desmond Ritter.
Malik Willis.
Yeah, Willis.
Malik Willis.
Yeah, the other one that sucks.
Malik Willis. Malik Willis at the 212 over
So
Deshaun
bad.
Watson, Dak
It's so
Prescott.
bad.
Oh my God. I was just like, oh, but what am I watching? I'm glad I did not buy any of the Malik Willis stuff. You know what really turned me off on Malik Willis was the Hugh Freeze interviews. I was like, he just sounds like a used car salesman. I don't believe any of this. I don't believe you, buddy. Yeah, I think Pickett's your best case scenario for Pickett is Derek Carr, in my opinion. That's what you're hoping for. I never liked AJ Dillon. Always thought the hype was weird, aside from some training camp booty short picks. Yeah, he's Kirkland Saquon.
No, people wanted him to be Derrick Henry, because that was right when Derrick Henry broke out, and they're like, oh, but he's faster. Oh, but he's agile. Oh, but he's this. And I'm like,
anytime someone's comped to an all-time great, I'm just like, yeah, I'm out. That ain't no Derrick Henry, bro. Because Derrick Henry has AJ Dillon's legs for arms.
yeah.
He literally makes no sense. Derrick Henry makes no sense. I don't know. I'm back. I'm back on the buy Derrick Henry everywhere.
As am I.
I don't get it. Stop trying to compare him to mere mortal running backs. The guy doesn't make any sense.
Right. It's just like, based on what? Like, if you want to talk about the Titans starting to cripple, I can understand that. But
what were the Bryan Edwards comps again? I think he got a DeAndre Hopkins comp.
Oh, I don't remember.
He was a South Carolina guy.
Yeah.
Is he still Kumbesi's avatar? He's not giving up on him?
Yes, I believe.
Bryan Edwards is hyped up Auden Tate.
Yeah.
Speaking of Henry, he has to drop off this season. He's been due for a decline for 2 years.
Based on what, though? That's the whole point.
Disagree.
You can always look for the logical sense of, like, of course, he's a specialized player. You're not buying him in a rebuild. If you're not using him, you're not touching him. But if you're using him, he is one of 3 running backs in the league that had over 1,000 yards after contact, and then massive tier gap. He's doing that at 29 years old, and shit was not good in Tennessee. So if you want to predict it, that's fine. But based on what? Like, you are just saying, well, it's got to happen sometime.
Yeah, well,
sometime.
I don't think it's going to happen. Also, fun fact, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure Derrick Henry was first in yards created per route run.
Oh, I was just going to say that. He was hilariously efficient. Like, all of a sudden, he caught like 30 or 40 passes this year. Like 5 or 6 years into his career, he's like, oh, yeah, I can do this now, guys.
Oh, here we go. Look at Zeke. Carries catch up, and his volume has been insane.
That's true.
Yeah, but Zeke ain't built like Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is a lot bigger than... Look at the Mark Ingram photo. And Zeke is closer to Mark Ingram than he is Derrick Henry. I'm look at that human and tell me you want to bet against him. And, I can't do it. I'm not betting against Derrick Henry. He's the Travis Kelce of running backs. Every time someone says Henry is going to decline this year, he just goes even more nuclear. Hey, look, it's good. If you could get a haul for him right now. See, here's the problem. This is why I'm saying I'd rather buy him, or I'd rather just keep him. You can't really sell him for what he's worth.
Right.
He's kind of like Keenan Allen, where it's like, if Keenan Allen had a wide receiver 1 season this year, I don't think any of us would be surprised. If DeAndre Hopkins had if Nuke had one, I'd be a little surprised. But it's just along those lines of I'd rather keep him. He's worth more to me than you, and I'm just not going to bet against him. But it's fair. It's definitely a fair point because it may not be this. It may be this year. Maybe it's not. But the punishment that man takes is kind of crazy. So, I think we're good. We're good here. I think it was a good 2 hours flew by real quick. If anyone has any last second questions, probably take one last one to wrap it up. If not, we'll be back. Bloom says in a startup, I got Chubb in the 7th and Henry in the 8th. That is
beautiful. They were number 1 and number 3 in yards after contact this year.
And then if they bust, say they bust, right? Who cares? I spent a 7th and an 8th.
Exactly.
Like, that's a win. That's awesome. We love to see those. I can't believe Chubb made it to the 7th. But yeah, on that note, yeah, great pod. I'm good with this. You good?
Good to be back.
All right, y'all. I didn't say it throughout the episode, but if you're here, please like and subscribe. And thank you to everyone who showed up. Thank you, Jordan, Blooms, Ewok, Jared. Who else am I missing? JL was in here.
Second Jordan.
Two J's, Jordan Rosenfield, and J Dubs. His name's Jordan too.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. And thank you for everyone who tuned in. We're gonna be back. And yeah, it means the world. Thanks, guys. See you next week. You got anything?
No.
We'll be back before you know it. It won't be 3 months this time.
Yeah.
Till then. Peace.
Yeah.